Well, good Wednesday evening to you boys and girls, and we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We're just getting over Wednesday. It's just the downhill run to Friday, and then a happy weekend. But before we get there, we got lots of fun stuff to happen, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you all about it. No, we have a very talented game master. Please, everybody, welcome my co-host, the one, the only, the Thunder from Down Under himself, Mr. Kyle Schuant. Kyle!
Hello, boys and girls. Hope all is well.
How's tricks, my friend?
It's chilly down here, despite it being spring and almost summer. But I've got my cup of soup in my great online game convention 2022 mug.
Excellent. A beautiful piece of glasswork.
And keeps me warm.
I'm getting my vitamin C myself in my Great Underground Online Gaming Convention pint glass. So all the vitamins a girl boy needs.
Well, I would be too, but it's 11 a.m. That's, you know. I know it's always 5 p.m. somewhere. But
it's always 5 p.m. somewhere. Oh. But anyway,
I've always held that if your first drink of the day is in the morning, it's not going to be your last drink of the day. So.
And if you're day drinking, nor should it be. But anyway. Praxis says the space intro is fun. That's all. That's all Kyle's handiwork. I wish I could claim credit for it, no pun intended. But yeah, no, that's him. He's put that together with some scenes from honestly the best era of gritty lived-in science fiction, which is of course the 80s. But I think you have some stuff from The Expanse in there.
Yes, it's we've got there the Expanse. There's one from a Mars movie. There's also the couple from Alien. And let me think. There's one. There's a couple of like action movies and things like that, just to like give characters, because I wanted to show the characters. You know, that's the thing. Like when you have an intro to a show, you can show kind of action scenes to show what's the world like, or what are the characters like. And you know, it's kind of 50-50 what you go with, really. You can argue either way. So like, you know, your classic sci-fi shows like Star Trek and so on, they had the show, they didn't have the characters. But sitcoms and so on often will have the characters. I haven't really thought about it or analyzed it, but I guess, yeah, sitcoms and yeah, a game group's more like a sitcom, let's be honest. So dramatic, maybe.
This game group definitely, and I don't say that with any umbrage at all. I mean, it is what it is. It's lots of fun, but If I could vote, if you were going to mod the credits, definitely try and fit some Outland in there. I'm just saying, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I looked at lots of clips. It was hard to fit. One of the things about the older sci-fi movies, or the older movies in general, is they're a bit slower. It's like I was watching with the family Jason and the Argonauts at around 1960, and with some of the first really good stop motion animation with the guy fighting the skeletons and stuff.
Yep.
And there's a bit where there's the old blind hermit who's up in the ruins of a temple, and he's being attacked by the harpies. And that was going on for a bit. And my wife said, "Yeah, all right, we get it. He's being attacked by the harpies. What happens next?" And I said, "Well, people had longer attention spans in those days."
Yeah.
And also, I think there's a difference between movies which were made to be watched in a cinema and movies which you might watch on a screen as small as this.
Yeah.
I think in the cinema you can be a bit slower paced because the person's more immersed in what's happening. They're not distracted by anything, unless they're one of those awful people looking at their mobile phone in the cinema. But if you're just looking at a screen that big, whether you want to or not, you're going to be distracted by things that are happening around you. Even if you're sitting in a room alone, you're going to look at that picture on the wall and that sort of thing. So I think as screens have got smaller, they need to be faster paced to keep people's attention. So when you go back to pick clips, you'll find it's a lot slower paced. So, the open establishing shot for Alien is like 6 or 8 minutes or something like that, with just the camera moving through the ship and showing the systems turning on, and then showing the crew waking up, and in the next one you get the crew getting up and having breakfast and so on. So so even those sorts of things, it won't be that quick. So, and that was something I noticed when I was trying to tack the intro together from a bunch of other clips. I had to kind of trim it down to have like 5 seconds from here and 5 seconds from there and so on. And the more modern movies, it was a lot harder to tack together. So like that Martian one, the bit where Kinder is like leaping out of the ship on a long tether. That's also from the same movie where they're sitting around. There's the radiation alert bit, and in that shot, in that little scene, you have a shot from her to this other guy, her to this other guy, her to this other guy, and then radiation alert, and then the people in the next room. And within the space of 10 seconds, there's about 6 different shots. There's literally less than a second on some of them. So that's really fast paced. And like Alien, for example, was nothing like that. It was nothing like that. Quick, boom, 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 boom between people.
Well, that
slower build.
And that was the great period of Ridley Scott's directing, because we got the Duelists in the early 70s, we got Alien, we got Blade Runner, and he was I guess it still is. I haven't really kept up with a lot of his movies, but he's very much about density of information. Like he wants to cram so much scene to scene. I mean, and there's even a lot of it that he insists on being there that is not like it's not going to be seen. I just finished Future Noir a few weeks ago, which is a book about that thick. It's about the size of a phone book. For our younger viewers, you used to get this book full of phone numbers. You couldn't look them up on the internet. But it's a very thick book, and it's about the making of Blade Runner. And they talk about Deckard's apartment. They cooked spaghetti on the stove. The stove in the apartment worked. And they would cook pasta and sauces and fry stuff on the stove between sets to make the backsplash and the counters of the kitchen greasy and dirty to make it look lived in, which you're never going to see. You're never, ever, ever going to see. You cannot pause a single frame in the film Blade Runner and say, I can see some dried pasta stuck to the wall. I can see a splash of grease on the stove that needs to be cleaned up. But he did it anyway to give it that sense of place. And he lavishes the camera and camera time on as much of that to give as much of that detail as possible to the viewer. And you don't see that anymore. So the slower.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a whole online community of people who just sort of, watch frame by frame to pick out all these tiny little details. Like, famously, it was pointed out that Veronica Cartwright's character in Alien, Lambert, the navigator, that her it was shown in Aliens when in the background they've got the personnel files of the crew scrolling past when Ripley's talking to the board, where the Yutani board and reporting on the blowing up the Nostromo and stuff. In the background, they're scrolling the personnel files of the crew, and there's some little. I can't remember the exact quote. But there's some little line basically indicates that Lambert is transgender, and people are saying like, "What the hell? A movie from 1986 had the and as a sci-fi point, it's quite fair and reasonable that even before the surgical and hormonal etc. Technology existed, for a sci-fi author to think ahead and think, well, if you have faster light drives and stuff, you might have people being able to change gender and so on. And some people will want to, so you don't have to be a strong advocate or whatever of that to think, or to look very far ahead to think that sort of thing will happen if you're a sci-fi author. But again, it's personnel files scrolling in the background. If you're sitting in the movie theater in 1986, there's no way in hell you're going to see that.
Oh yeah. You're just waiting for the next big jump, waiting for the next big action sequence or scare, right?
Yeah. Praxis says he didn't see any Red Dwarf in the intro. Well, that was deliberate. I love Red Dwarf, but my approach in GMing is that, like, I don't like joke games like Paranoia and stuff like that, because my feeling is players will bring the comedy without any effort from anyone else. Whereas if you deliberately try to make it comedic, it's a bit awkward and weird. I'd rather rely on the players just being naturally silly to make that happen. And Praxis also says, treat yourself to the 2018 film Prospect for some lived-in sci-fi. Yeah, that's Prospect is very Traveller. So I believe it's on YouTube. You can look it up, guys. Prospect.
That one I have not seen. There's actually one that I don't know if you've seen this one, Kyle, or if any of our viewers have seen this. I think it sits in that strange kind of gray, hazy area where it's too big and too nice looking, at least in terms of production, to be a bad movie. So I would say, rather than being a good, bad movie, it is actually a bad, good movie, and that is Moon 44. Moon 44, very lived-in science fiction. I'm going blank here. Let's see. Moon 44. It's just embarrassing that I can never remember this actor's name. But yeah, here's the cast. It's Malcolm McDowell, Michael Paré, Dean Devlin, Bruce Thompson, Lisa Eichenhorn. Yeah. But basically it's it's a Western in space kind of film. But it's Yeah, it's directed by Roland Emmerich. It's got music's by Joel Goldsmith. It's a fairly high concept film, and it's 1990. It's a 1990 English language German science fiction film. The film is set on the futuristic mining site Moon 44, where convicts and teenage technicians are partnered. An undercover agent, Pare, must discover what has happened to missing corporate shuttles. So if that, that just sounds like great fodder for your science fiction games. And like I said, it is a bad, good movie. It had aspirations of being a lot more, but it's not great. And if anybody is keen on just spoiling the entire movie,
we've been live for 15 minutes. We're waiting on Sapphire and Ricky. We know that Tammy will be a bit later from work. Let's go ahead and bring Razor on, so he can at least talk some sci-fi, even if he's not playing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, didn't mean to leave you sitting out there in the cold.
That's fine.
I trust you found the snacks and the craft services in the green room acceptable.
Of course. Hello, everyone.
Hello. I was just reading on the Wikipedia entry for Alien. Apparently, Veronica Cartwright Lambert, she was originally cast as Ripley until she arrived in London for wardrobe. And then they told her, actually, you're going to play this other character. And she didn't like the character because she thought she was emotionally weak. She said, they convinced me that I was the audience's fears. I was a reflection of what the audience is feeling. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. You can't all be the badass. There's got to be someone who goes, like most of us would.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. She and Yaphet Kotto's characters unfortunately went out like chumps. But I mean, it was a sci-fi horror movie. There was only going to be a final girl. All right, and part of the crew escaped. Part of the crew died, but part of the crew escaped. No, there was really only going to be one survivor at the end there. I actually used to have a real cracker of a computer game. It was kind of almost a role-playing game for the Commodore 64 that was Alien. It was the Alien scenario, and you had this top-down fake isometric view of many decks of the Nostromo, and you could, through various methods, you could trap and destroy the xenomorph and save as much of the crew as possible. Crew members could be injured, which would affect their morale and their ability to function, or they could be killed outright. As I recall, they could be dragged into the ventilation system, but still alive. You could rescue them. But one of the neat things about it is it had a random generator where every time you played, someone different was the android. So you could literally play the game, and Ripley is the corporate android trying to thwart everything and setting off alarms and opening hatches when you're not looking at a given map view and so on. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. When I say cracker, I mean I never successfully completed it. The closest I came to a victory condition ever, any of the times I played, is I rushed as many crewmen as I wanted to save to the Narcissus, kept them in there, like never let them leave, and I would just keep one person roaming around for a little while until it got to the point that the computer would allow me to activate the self-destruct, and then I would move that character as quickly as I could back to the Narcissus and blast off. But I never saved the ship. I always escaped with 3 or 4 crew members.
The closest I've ever had to that was playing an early Doom mod. It was basically designed to be Aliens. You know, you were a Marine in Aliens. And it was the first time I've been scared playing a computer game. Because they did it fairly well for 1996 or whatever it was,
Mhm.
or probably earlier. And just going along, and they had all the sounds playing and all the rest. And you had to go to a particular point and find a yellow key card, and that yellow key card was named Newt. And you had to get that and then get out with it. So
Yeah, I vaguely recall that one. There's a few years after that, 20th Century Fox teamed up with Rebellion Studios and released a proper 3D Alien game that was very, very, very well done. Very atmospheric. It was the first Alien versus Predator game, and there were 3 campaigns, each one between 3 and 4 hours. So you got a really good chunk of gameplay. You could play as a Marine, you could play as a Xenomorph, or you could play as an alien. And it just, the maps were not always the same. But what was interesting is if you played, you could play as a Xenomorph or a Predator. Playing as a Predator, you were not obligated to kill everyone you ran across. And the AI would sometimes, like if you disarmed somebody, like through your spear or something, and you managed to hit their weapon and knock it out of their hands, typically they'd panic and run away and go hide in a corner, and you could leave them alone. There was no bonus or penalty to either one. But then, of course, as the alien, you've killed everyone you saw. that was the point, was killing every living organism you saw that wasn't you. But it was quite good. I think you get it on Steam for just a few bucks. I know for a long, long time, Rebellion Studios had it on their website, and you could just download it for free. But I think it's, once again, you have to pay for it. Robert says there was an Alien board game. Yes, I recall that. I recall hearing about that.
So, what do you think's missing from the intro, Razor? That's what people were talking about.
Not really sure. I mean, I like it. It's cute. Of course, my character's kind of looks like someone that's working on a ship when that's not the character. But it is what it is.
Well, I mean, you all get to work on the ship.
Well, yeah.
You all get to do various jobs.
Right. I just want to give you a heads up. Tammy's got some doctor's appointments, so she may be very late tonight, if she even makes it.
Okay.
All right.
Someone's always got to scrub the decks. So.
Yeah, that's what Marines are for.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always little minor jobs in places, so
Oh yeah.
There's all sorts of things where it's like, just take all the screws off this thing and then get back to me. There's always that.
Right. And the screw's 20 feet long, and here's a screwdriver that's stripped out.
Yeah. I mean, even I, in my military career, got to be involved in vehicle maintenance.
Oh,
it was like hosing down trucks, and when they were pulling apart an engine, it was like, here, take this chunk of the engine and clean it.
I was a tanker, so I did maintenance on tanks. They are everything is heavy on a tank.
Yeah. Well, this was
this person is the crew. Yeah. Now, I started with M60s and then went over to M1s. So.
Hey, speaking of crew members, look who's here, folks. Hello, hey. Sapphire. Hello.
Hello.
Greetings and salutations.
I'm just throwing dinner in, so we'll be improvising, but that's good.
That's all good. So I don't know. Let me see, because I mentioned it on last night's show, and I know I posted it on the Discord. By the way, folks, we have a Discord if you'd like to come join us and talk about maintenance work on tanks and science fiction credits and all sorts of things, you can come over and join us right there on the Discord. The link is in the chat. I'll stick it up on the screen. And I saw Ricky. Well, he plays in our Tuesday night AD&D live stream. You can catch that. That's 9:00 Eastern Standard every Tuesday. We play first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We got a great group, and it is a lot of fun. So I hope you'll tune in and watch that, folks. But I did mention to him we were gaming tonight, and he said he would be here with bells on. So I can only hope that he shows up with bells on or off. I'm not particular.
He's probably looking for his bells.
As long as it's not a cowbell.
Yes, no cowbells, no cowbells, no.
Yeah, no Minotaur bards.
Yeah. No, I was going to say no Mississippi State, but I think that's a little esoteric college footballish there. So, so let me see. Nope, I do not see him online yet, but I am sure he will be joining us.
Okay, so give us an outline in what happened in the last session for all the people who missed that last one. We're too bedazzled by the bedazzled flip-flops to notice.
Bedazzled flip.
Yes.
So last session we started in orbit around. Damn it! I've got Kyle's Shewant disorder, and I keep wanting to say
Lieber.
Le Guin. It's definitely an L. So we were in orbit around Le Guin. We shot it out with a couple of, or rather with a patrol ship that gave us some lovely parting gifts of ICBMs.
No, that wasn't Le Guin, because
we were at Lieber when that happened.
Oh yeah, we were at
Lieber.
Yes. So we jumped.
It also
and
took care of our AI problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were at Lieber when you took off the ship that was under lean, and you tore off the custom seals and you took off with it, and you were chased by a system defense boat who told you to pull over and prepare to be boarded, and you just kept accelerating. And then they shot you up and took out the middle of the ship, the hull and so on, which was fortunate because they were pursuing you to get the AI. And that's where the AI was stored. So, the cargo got blown to bits or blown out of the into space, whatever. Either's good. And then you did the jump at the last minute before another volley of missiles was coming to finish you off. Then you went to Le Guin, and you didn't land on Le Guin. You just went to the Navy up port and did some repairs there.
Yes, we got repairs, and we also scraped together our money and took on a load of computer parts, which we are taking to. I don't have the map.
Going to Kafka.
Thank you. Yes, we're going to Kafka, and we're taking a literal ton of computer equipment to Kafka, and hopefully make a good profit.
Yeah. Lots of solid state circuitry there.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing high tech. So in this game universe, the high tech stuff is banned because AIs rose up and drove humanity out of Sol and the core systems. So it's the one thing that carries a death sentence. One of the three things that carries a death sentence.
One of the three things, and I'm quite vehement that I'm not going to get in trouble for those.
Yeah, well, because they're interstellar crimes as opposed to just, on that
Locals.
world. Yeah.
Right. We also have 3 passengers.
Yes, there's 3 passengers.
That is correct.
Logan Tan, Bruno Wood, and Baroness Marie Abbott.
Abby, yeah. So Abby, she is a total pain in the butt for you on the way out from.
And I did some shopping, hopefully.
To get some fresh food and stuff. Yeah, so on the way out to the Le Guin jump point, and then on the jump to Kafka, she's a total pain. She basically, she's got middle passage, but she expects high passage service. And she's forever ordering her security guys around, and she gets very bored. And crew get bored too on the ship, but luckily there's always something to do on a ship. Whereas if you're a passenger, not so much. So yeah, she's a total pain in you guys' butt.
I have a ship question.
Yeah.
When the ship is in jump space, is it in 0G or is it under gravity?
It maintains the acceleration that it had when you jumped.
Okay.
So normally almost everyone will go up to 1G and then jump, unless they've got a bunch of people as passengers who are used to lower G, or got a bunch of people who are injured. So you guys might be at quarter or a half G, because you probably recovered by now.
Well, I think we recovered by the time we hit Le Guin.
Yeah, that's right. You'd recovered, and if you hadn't recovered, then you had another week while your ship was being repaired. Plus, at the Navy, you had a bit of better medical treatment, so you could recover a bit more quickly, with it being a naval base. All right, so you come out of jump. After a week in jump, you come out of jump at the Kafka system. And you get out the scope and the sextant and so on. And you come out of jump in the relatively near a gas giant. It's a medium gas giant with 4 large and 12 small moons. And then further in, you've got in the orbits further in, you've got 3 ice worlds. Then in the second orbit, you've got Kafka, which has a small moon around it. And then you've just got a little roasted rock close to the sun. The sun is a little bit larger than Sol, and it burns a bit hotter. Kafka itself, it looks like it has a 28-hour rotation period. You calculate it will have 1.2 gravities, so you feel a little bit heavy there. It's a bit like the heaviness you feel, when your car turns. Your car turns, you get about 0.2 Gs, so that kind of much extra.
Okay.
It's about 0.4 atmospheric pressure, so you don't need to wear a suit, but it is tainted. It is a tainted atmosphere. It's very high carbon dioxide. So you guys will need to wear a filter, though it's possible locals might be used to it. There's not much water on the planet. There's some ice caps, and you see there's a few lakes spread around. But yeah, there's not much water on the planet.
Okay. Well, Helm, take us in 1 standard G. I'll flip on the comm system. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are not aware, we have successfully jumped to the Kafka system. We are approximately a question for the game master. We're about a week from Kafka Prime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We are about 6 to 7 days ship time from Kafka 2. And in that time, I would like to thank you all very much for booking passage with us, and we'll see you dirt side. All right. Anything interesting happen in the flight time?
Okay. Random encounters. Dun, dun, dun. Wandering monster chart.
40 to 400 kobolds, all in pressure suits.
Swinging their swords.
What's that clanking on the hull? I don't know, but they've all got treasure type L. We can use the silver to fix our electronics. So.
Okay, let me. Okay, roll 1d6. Bill?
I got a 5.
Okay, there's some sort of spaceship mechanical problem shortly after you come out of jump. And come out of jump, and it feels like when you come out of jump, it feels like ugh, like the lift is suddenly, the elevator is suddenly stopped. You know. Okay, roll.
I'm going to jump right on it.
Roll a D100. 17.
17. Okay. So the life support system really messes up, and there's a burst pipe, and all the corridors start flooding up with a few inches of water. The water's just seeping out. So everyone's shoes are getting wet, and they're slushing around in water.
So I'm going to immediately try to track it down and fix it.
I roll my pant cuffs, slip off my shoes, and don my flip-flops.
All right, so make a mechanics check.
Okay. Let me grab that.
Just in time for another crew member to join us.
All right. So, okay, here I am. And I do 2 dice. Is it 2 6s?
Yep. 2d6 and
okay.
add 1 to your engineer skill or your mechanics skill.
Okay. That would be 9.
9, yeah, that'll succeed. So you track down the leak, and then you have to spend the next. You track down the leak, and it doesn't take you long to fix the leak, but it takes you the next few hours to clean up all the water. And she's dropped out. The water must have shorted out Sapphire's connection.
Yes.
Oops. Sorry, I'm late.
Okay, sorry, wrong button.
That's all right. So you fixed the mechanical problem. You plugged up, you welded up the hole in the pipe, but it's going to take you the next few hours to clean up the water. That'll be an all hands on deck kind of thing to do.
Yep. Pull out the mop.
And the Baroness is not happy. What kind of ship is this? She says.
The one you're riding on.
Yep. What? We didn't tell you that we had full deck water features. You don't want to go enjoy one of the decorative fountains we've set up?
Hey, it's a slip and slide. Break out your swimsuit and go for it.
I mean, I feel like everything's a slip and slide, particularly when it's, like -10 outside, vacuum of space, just, ice slider right into oblivion. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Okay. So I'm just formatting some things on my little master spreadsheet that I keep track of everything in the game on. All the events, so at least I remember which world we're on sometimes. Okay. And make another roll. Bill, 1d6.
This is another 5.
Okay, and again.
That time it is a 3.
3. Okay. So you see when you're picking up some sort of there was some sort of anomaly in the jump when you came out of the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Now the jump drive is built into your ship, but it's also built into the hull, right? So it doesn't just create an enormous bubble around it, taking everyone with you. Otherwise, you might jump with a torpedo about to land on you, and and then your torpedo comes with you, follows you all the way. But it just takes the hull and everything within a meter or two of it.
Okay.
So the anomaly is probably something wrong with part of the hull. It's part of the hull that's either broken or being eroded by something. You don't know. You'll have to go and have a look.
But it's is it something that's going to impede our normal space navigations?
Well, it might, because the hull might actually rupture and let all the atmosphere out.
That kind of anomaly. Okay.
Yeah, that kind
Nobody's
of, like
doing
I
a
said,
spacewalk.
there's either damage to the hull or it's eroding. What would be eroding it in space? You don't know. So there's something strange going on.
All right.
Is there a way to do a diagnostic from inside, or would we have to
Well,
walk
you walk
in a
around
suit outside?
You walk around and you check inside first, and if that doesn't show anything up, then you suit up and you go out.
All right, Quinda, why don't you and I we'll walk the inside hull. I'm still a little stiff from and then let's see. How about you two go out and take a spacewalk if we can't find anything inside?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Okay. So we.
What can I do to help?
Well, I mean, if what's going on outside is part of the electrics, you're going to be invaluable out there.
Yep. Otherwise, I'm a cheerleader. Go
Well,
team.
otherwise you're out there watching safety lines and so on and etc. Always 2 people on a spacewalk. Always 2 people on a spacewalk. All right, so myself and Quinda are going to inspect the inner hull.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you go around doing inspections. So do a mechanical check, Quinda.
Nine.
9. Yeah, you don't find any issues inside the hull. Yeah, you don't find anything obvious inside the hull.
All right. Well, I'll go to our other intrepid crewmen. The bad news is you have to leave the ship. The good news is you get to do it in spacesuits.
Yeah, that kind of helps.
The ship will also have to turn its engines off for number one, from the vast heat in the back of the engines, because you've got when the ship's underway, you've got about 75 terawatts pumping out the back of the ship. That produces quite a bit of heat. And number 2, and radiation. And number 2, the acceleration, you'll just be dragged back.
Right.
You won't be accelerating anymore. You'd be a separate little satellite.
Okay.
Left behind by the ship.
Well, how about this? I'm going to have Helm do a braking maneuver, and we're basically going to stop just where we are for maximum safety.
Stop. Well, there's stop relative to who, but anyway, you just stop accelerating. That means you'll keep going in the same direction you were.
Right, but I don't want to do that. I want to stop. Like, I mean, I know we're drifting at that point, but
Yeah,
with
but
my
there is no stop in space. There's always moving relative to something. So do you want to stop relative to Kafka?
yes,
Because all the
stop.
other planets continue moving in their orbits, and the star continues moving its way around the galaxy, and blah blah blah. So,
Thank you, Mr. Spock. Yes, stop relative to Kafka.
right, cool.
Occasionally doing a station keeping burn if we have to or something like that. But I just don't want to be moving along at a 1G clip and somebody, slip.
Well, 1G is the acceleration. You continue going faster. So stop means you just keep going in that same direction. It's like you push someone on the ice and then you stop pushing. He just keeps on sliding.
Well, we're gonna stop sliding relative to Kafka.
I feel like one of us in this call was a space nerd as a kid, and many of the other of us were, I don't know, things like history majors or other things, and just like, this is all Greek. But yes.
I did English lit and history, but I also did physics in high school, and I had a very dedicated physics teacher who drummed stuff into us, even though we didn't like it. we were forced to take notes during he treated it like uni. We had to take notes, and then every semester we had to submit our notes. And if we hadn't noted something, he made us go back and write about it again. And we had the lab books, which we also had to submit, and so on. And this big, thick physics textbook. And me and my partner Nick Koletsos, at the end, after the day after our high school certificate exam, we put the books into a little oil drum, and we poured kerosene over them and burned them, and said, even if we fail, we're not going to do this again. So we hated it at the time, but the consequence is that decades later, I can remember that force equals mass times acceleration, and S equals ut plus a half at squared, and power equals volt times amperage, and all that sort of stuff, whether I want to or not, is drilled into me, engraved into my brain.
Well, physics is good. It's awesome. I mean, because it's practical.
All right, so Kyle is working through some trauma, apparently. So you guys go outside. I hold up a can of spray-on Flex Seal and a roll of duct tape. Take these. And if you see,
we don't have the Gorilla Tape.
If you see a Minoc or a Cyberman or a Piercer or whatever, shoo it off and let me know, and then fix it.
Shoot it in the head.
All right. So you get out of the ship, and you crawl around, and it's pretty. You have to spend some hours doing so. However, once you do get onto the spot, it's fairly obvious. Now the spot is, or is it? Okay, it's on the payload bay, which is where the O2 is on this diagram, the 0 and the 2, or this image. So it's that part of the ship, or with the other one, it's on this part of the ship, the payload bay, where the 4 is. So above that is the airlock deck, where the crew usually goes in and out, and the avionics array, and the keel. The keel runs through the ship, but yeah. And then there's a couple of water tanks there. So there's some erosion, and it looks kind of like rust, but it's black. Now that doesn't surprise you too much, because you've got various alloys that might corrode in different ways, but it's sort of weird that it's it's weird that it's oxidizing when it's in a vacuum because there's no oxygen out there.
We need to get our money back from the repair bay. They didn't fix this thing properly.
Pretty much. So your engineer and your electrician can tell you that, yeah, so there's either something in the metal that they repaired or there's something in the water that you took on that's causing this to erode. Now, whether that something is chemical or biological, you don't know at this stage.
Can
So
we
you can scrape up
put a patch over it? Yeah, scrape off of it, and can we actually like take a
it's
clean
all over
piece
the
of metal
place.
and?
It's all over the place.
Oh, okay.
It's spread over a few square meters.
So it would be too big to like take a separate sheet of metal and weld over it basically as a patch.
You could do that. That would be good enough for flying along. You're not
Is it
sure if
on
you
a-
want to trust it during re-entry into an atmosphere, because it might be not structurally sound enough. But it'd be enough for flying along, yeah.
Okay.
Normally, and by the way, normally I'd ask for a vac suit roll to be crawling around the ship and all the rest, but you guys have gone in pairs and you're all tethered up. So, occasionally somebody goes, whoa, and then drifts off into space, but then the other one pulls them on the tether back.
Well, and I've got the vac suit skill too, so.
Yeah, and even if they're not, even if they don't get pulled back, they go, and then carabiner holds, and you're all right. Because there's handholds and things all over the ship for that very purpose.
All right. Well, how fixable does it look to my two crew?
It looks patchable, but at this stage, that's it.
All right. We'll get to work on it, and we'll see what we can do about. Shit. I don't know.
So if it's something in the hull, well, it's come from outside. If it's something in the water, then it may actually be in the port side water tank there. Well, I mean, the water tank goes all the way around, but the port part of the water tank.
Okay. Are the reaction tanks accessible from?
Say again?
Are the reaction tanks accessible from inside the ship?
No, not really. You could poke little fiber optic cameras into it, but that's about it.
That's what I'll do. I'll get a borescope and go to town and see what I can see.
Okay.
Do we have different water compartments that we could vent this one supply of water that we're not sure of, but still have enough for everything else in a different location?
Yeah. Yeah, they're baffled off from each other, mainly in case of damage to one part of the ship, so that you don't lose all your reaction mass and life support water in one go.
I mean, I don't know if we want to vent this or not. I mean, it's a backup water supply, but it could potentially be causing some of the issues. So I don't know if it's going to exacerbate before we get back.
My question here is, isn't all the water from the same source?
We could just seal off the one tank, right, and then just empty its contents and check that tank, and then check the other tanks to see if they're reacting the same way, and to see if this one just blew first. Because yeah, you're right. We could have a chain reaction where, oh look, we empty this tank. All right, well now the next one blows because it is all the same water. But if it is location specific, right? Well, that's all we can do is start there.
Okay, so scoping the tank, Kyle, what do I see in there?
Okay, so and you have a little light that goes with it too, because obviously there's no windows into it and no sunlight and all that sort of stuff. so you scope it around. You see little bitty bits floating around in the water. Normally the water is very clear and pure. It's been purified. It's distilled water, basically.
Okay.
Because if it doesn't, you get all sorts of other erosion problems and so on, much like you've got now, or worse. But there's lots of stuff floating around. This looks more like if you just pulled water out of a lake and it had little worms and tadpoles and things floating around in it, and bits of dirt, and that looks more like that. You don't know its exact composition or if there's anything living moving around, because you just see little sort of black bits moving around. But is that just because of the natural circulation of the water and you're stirring it up or whatever, or are they moving themselves? You don't know.
All right, can we do as suggested, close the baffles and dump this part of the tank?
Might I suggest we scope the other tanks just in case?
That's a good idea.
Make sure that they don't have the same stuff in there.
Yeah. So you go and you.
I'd also take samples of all the water to compare between them too. We can run some kind of analysis to see what it is exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you go and you scope out the other tanks, and the ones that are down in the fins are fine, but the ones that are in the above the payload area, they are all the same as this one. They all appear to be contaminated with something.
So it sounds like we need to get rid of the other water source, or we're going to have another possible breach on the other side.
Yeah.
All right, we'll blow the forward tanks, and I want to pull those samples in just to see. I'd like to know if it's deliberate or not. If we need to fly back to some place and do something awful to someone.
What gave us space herpes? Like, we didn't visit Essex, so like
it just could have been very shitty QC on the ground. Fly by night. Who knows?
I guess while y'all do that, I'm going to go ahead and check our filtration system.
Yep.
Because our filters should have, as was just said, right? They should stop this kind of thing, where even if that's the backup, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you go and so you check the filtration system. So normally the filtration system works on the water that you yourselves bring up. So like when you sat on that beach by Gibson and pulled the water out of the lake, the filtration system pulled out all the organics and all the salt and all that sort of stuff and made it basically distilled water. And it could do that because like the nuclear reactor boils up all the water and so just lets the water out and then chucks all the other gunk out. But this last lot of water reaction mass that you took on was what you took on at HMS Krober when you got repaired and fueled up there.
So it didn't boil any of it off?
No. So your ship didn't bother filtering through that because it was just brought on.
Recommendation, Captain?
Sure.
Let's boil everything from here on out.
Yeah, I think that's probably sound advice. All right. So is dumping the reaction tanks? Is that just Yeah,
you just do it. You just press the button and you do it. Yeah. So you vent them off into space.
Yeah.
And so it goes off into space in a very artistic. It would be a very artistic VFX shot if we had VFX in this stream, but we don't. So you just have to imagine it.
Yep. Okay, so Yeah. Well, we obviously we get the samples before we do that, but just in case. And once done, I mean, if we can't land because of the damage to the hull, are there orbital stations we can get proper repairs done at?
This has a Class A starport.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you okay, so this so Kafka in fact has a we got the right one. Kafka in fact has a Class C starport. It's orbited by a moon, and that moon, when you listen into the radio signals and so on, you realize that that moon has a small base as well. Seems to be separately run to Kafka's government. Seems to be some sort of like a mining corporation or something, and they've got a Class D starport there. So they'll have fuel and basic repairs and that. But that's only a size 1 planet. So the moon is only size 1, and it's got no atmosphere, so it'd be trivial to land on, and it could be completely open.
Okay.
Like remember the Apollo project. One of the early ideas was just to have a guy on his own on an open platform in his vac suit land on the moon, plant a flag, pick up a rock, put it in his pocket, and go.
The Soviet process of getting in their LEM was literally to climb out of the spaceship and climb into the LEM. Obviously, it didn't work out for them, but yeah, they had similar austere ideas about moving from one ship to another. So, well, okay. I will inform our passengers, ladies and gentlemen. Due to an unforeseen technical issue, we are going to be landing on the moon of Kafka, where we will be taking on some minor service adjustments. And we will then depart and head for PlanetSide directly after that. Thank you for your patience, and please enjoy a complimentary meal pack courtesy of the Heinlein. Click. They basically get an extra MRE if it takes us an extra half day.
All right. So you head on your way, and then let me see the map of that thing. Okay. So for our viewers, this here with 4 at the center, that's the no, so that's power deck, wrong one. Payload bay. Okay. Sport deck. Where are we? The main deck. Okay. The main deck, which is in the bottom third of the ship. So the main deck is where all the crew are. So you can see with like 7 and 4 and 1, that's various bridges. There's a flight deck, engineering deck, and the quarter deck. Quarter deck where the payload officers and the gunners go. In the middle is the keel and some other controls, first aid gear, and so on. And there's also crew cabins.
Okay.
So this is the area that had been flooded.
All right, but we got it all squeegeed and shambied up. Right?
You got all squeegeed and all the rest. Now, so you're flying along to Kafka's moon, Felice, and at one point the Baroness comes squealing out of her cabin, and men look concerned, and she says, "There's some animal in my cabin. Bugs."
Of course. Quinda, if you'd be so kind.
On it. I will investigate.
All right.
What have we
So-
got? And
so
it
you
better
go
not
and-
be space herpes.
Worse,
So you-
it's space crabs.
Game Master, is this going to be a stand-up fight, or is he just going on another bug hunt?
You're going to find out. All right. So you go in there, and along the edges, so the corners between the wall and the floor, you see that same kind of erosion that was present on the outside of the ship. And then you think, hang on a minute, and then you step back out into the corridor, and you see some of the same in the corridor where the water had been. Because the water field life support systems is drawn from those same ballast tanks. And
So the leak we had came out of those tanks.
well, the tanks, I mean, it all circulates between them.
Oh, Jesus.
The life support system, yeah, so it circulates between them.
Wait.
So the tanks don't circulate directly between each other, but the ship life support pipes do. You know what I mean? It's like having half a dozen different cisterns for your water supply, and then you have all the household pipes coming out of them. But it's not always the really closest one. Like in my house, I've got the hot water system, which is just outside our bathroom. But our bathroom is the last part of the house to be heated, because the pipe goes all the way up the side of the house into the kitchen, down through the other bathrooms, and then into our bathroom. It does this big loop before it gets back to us.
So what I'm hearing then is that we need to not just overhaul a tank and repair that tank, but now the entire section of life support would need a repair.
Possibly.
You know what I'm thinking?
Now, in the little corner with the erosion, you do see a number of like beetle-like things.
Okay.
I think we just need a new ship.
That's what I'm thinking.
I just screw the repairs at this point. Like, scrap this and just call it a day.
Land it, go hijack another one. Good Lord.
You guys keep saying hijack. We didn't hijack this ship.
No, I didn't say anything about hijacking this one. We'll go find another ship. We'll hijack that one.
All right. Well, you said another as if to imply that, we had done that.
I didn't
But
say
anyway.
hijack again. I said hijack another one. Not this
Well,
one, but a different one.
I think we're talking around each other ontologically now. So let's
Yes.
focus. Let us focus on.
I will get a specimen jar and take one of these beetles as a specimen and hand it off to the captain and say, hey, Captain, this is what I found. And we got corrosion scattered throughout.
Yay. All right.
I don't have enough toothbrushes for this.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's focus on fixing what we can at the moment and try to get down in one piece, and we will proceed apace from there.
Alrighty. So you head on off. You head on. What are you going to do about this ongoing little bits of corrosion and beetles and so on? I mean, they die when you stomp on them, and so they don't. They don't crawl into your ear and take over your brain or anything.
Okay. Well, the space cockroaches, we'll just.
You know what I would suggest? Put everybody in a vac suit, void the entire ship for about an hour. See if they're still alive after that.
Works for. Well, you know what? They survived in.
They survived in the water.
In the tank. All right. Yeah. Game Master will try that.
And wait, I have a question, actually. We have an inboard filtration system. Is there any way we can just run all of the water from all the systems, bugs, bacteria, whatever included, through that boiler?
Yeah, you can, but that'll still leave your ship. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's already damage been done. We can't fix it just by doing that. We can prevent further damage, we hope.
Correct. And well, this way we don't have to put our passengers in the uncomfortable situation of, hi, we're sorry, but we need you to sit in this uncomfortable vac suit for the next hour while we vent the entire ship.
But what about the insects that are running around? We got to get rid of them somehow.
I agree.
And they're not in the water right now.
That's fair. I guess the answer is we do both.
They may be in the water right now, but if you
if
you zap it through the distiller and everything, that'll remove them from the water.
Right.
Okay, distill the water. I'll tell the passengers we'll do a good old fashioned space venting, and that'll be that. All right, I'll get on the PA system and tell everyone that to suit up, that due to an unforeseen parasitic or unforeseen insect problem on the ship, we're going to take care of it the old-fashioned way with a little bit of hard vacuum.
I mean, hey,
Cool.
it's better than bug bombs, right?
It's physics bug spray, ladies and gentlemen. Really, it is the most sanitary method by which we have to deal with these creatures while we are still 5.5 days from our destination.
All right. So, so you run the water through the filtration system. That takes several hours. And then the gunk gets just chucked out into space for the next time that you turn your engines on and vapor and turn it into ionized atoms. And then you get the crew to sit around in their vac suits. The payload guys acting as informal stewards will probably have to help the Baroness and her security guys to get into their vac suits. Jump in and you vent the air out of the ship, and you sit around for an hour just looking at the screens change, the numbers change.
See if we can find any of the bugs and see if they're still moving.
Yeah.
Okay. They keep moving for a little while, but then after 30 or 40 minutes, they stop.
Hopefully it's death and not hibernation. So.
Yes.
Collect up the ones that I can.
Yep. So you're going around in your ship in 0G.
Mm-hmm.
With no air in the ship. Just with your thick gloves trying to pick up these little bugs.
Use forceps.
Okay.
I bring a dustpan.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a very eerie scene, and then like there's the Baroness and her two security guys just like floating in their cabin while you go into little corners and sweep up the bugs. Be very eerie, very quiet. The only sounds you can hear are your life support system in your suit, except for the occasional crackle of radio when somebody else is talking.
Oh no, I'm this that I'll play music over the comm system.
Oh, and I'm sure Bubba is probably regaling us with some story.
No, he's too sick.
I told him the green crayons weren't ripe.
He's too sick. Maybe he drank some of that water. You don't know.
Oh, dear.
Okay. And after about an hour, well, hour's up.
Okay.
the hour's up. All the bugs that you've seen have stopped moving.
Okay.
Okay.
And are the ones that the ones that stopped moving under vacuum, are they still not moving?
Oh, have you put the air back in?
No, I was just saying after an hour, you were saying things get cleaned up. So
yeah. Well, I didn't know if you were spending some more time or what, but yeah.
just however long it takes to get things in order.
Well, I mean, in principle, you can spend forever searching over every last nook and cranny of the ship trying to find one of the bugs. There's no limit to the amount of time you can spend doing that.
All right. Well, we'll just.
It's like even people who say they have clean houses. How many have cleaned the backboard behind their toilet recently?
Mm-hmm.
It's there's always some last little nook and cranny for you to get.
Last week.
Last week, we found the OCD guy in the group.
There are two things I obsess over: a clean kitchen and a clean bathroom.
Must have a happy spouse. So, all right. So, okay, after an hour, you let the air back in then, and everyone gets out of the vac suits, and things have got that kind of ozone smell that they always have when you've been exposed to vacuum.
Okay.
From little particles of dust and so on out there. And it looks like the bugs are dead. You've still got the erosion, but it looks like the bugs are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonder Bar. Let's head for the moon.
Okay.
Apologize to everyone for their for the inconvenience and keep on trucking.
All right. So you head on towards the moon. The rest of your flight is uneventful. You approach the world. It's as I've described. There's actually a couple of comets around the world. It looks like all like icy husks. It looks like they've been working on terraforming the world, because the original figure you got was for less atmosphere than it actually has. It's got a bit more atmosphere.
Okay.
And so there's this mining place, Felice. So it's quite a small moon. It's only 1,000 miles across. And they've got a Class D starport, so you can go and land at that. That's how you come into landing pad 3.
All right. Do I need to make a piloting roll?
Yeah, to make a smooth landing, yeah.
And that is a 12.
12. It's a very smooth landing. You must have been, Benjo must have been very conscious of safety after all these recent events. Okay, it's a relatively spread out mining colony. It obviously has a few thousand people in it. The stats, I'll just put them in the chat. Put them in the chat. So it's D10031A-8. So you land there, and the ground crew come up and run and connect the various hoses to your craft and all the rest. It's very light gravity here. It's about 1/10 of a G.
Excellent.
Find yourselves bouncing around, springing in your step.
Okay. Is there a trading. I mean, a trading exchange here where we could sell our computer parts immediately.
You can try, yeah. So
All right.
there's trader. Let's see. Oh, somebody's looking after their cat. Okay, so there's a warehouse, Galactic Alliance. It's an interstellar brand that you know, and yeah, they buy and sell. Okay, local prices. Let's see. So the base price. Okay, computer parts. So this world is non-agricultural and poor. Interestingly, none of those affect the price of the computer parts.
Okay.
Okay, so roll 2d6. Now, does anyone have any? Let's see, what skills can? Will you hire a broker?
I'm sorry. You said we need to hire a broker.
Will you hire a broker? Okay, so there are broker skills of 1 to 4. And each must be paid their fee, even if the seller decides not to sell their goods. Brokers' fees are related to their general worth. 5% of sale price for each +1 to the resale die throw. So at the moment, you won't get any +1. So the base price of computer parts is 150,000. You bought them for 165,000. Okay, so now a roll of on the 2d6 chart, a roll of 7 will get you 100% of their price as an offer, 150,000. A roll of 8 will get you 110%, so 165 as their price. A roll of 9 and above will start getting you a profit. So things like admin and bribery can help in finding a decent price.
I do have admin.
Yep. So make a roll. Make a roll for admin to help you to see if it helps you. So if you get 8+, some admin will help you.
All right. Got a 9.
A 9, good. Now, in our crew, Benjo has got some bribery, so make a roll for him to help you too. And he needs to get 8+ as well.
All right. 11.
11, yep. So that's a +2. So admin and bribery to find the right people to talk to. It's still up to you whether you get a broker or not.
Yeah. I mean, what are his fees?
You have to pay the fee whether you do the sale or not.
Okay. What are his fees?
Well, the fees are, if you want the broker that has +1 in skill, it's 5% of the sale price. If you want the broker that has +2, it's +2% of the sale price, and so on.
What do you think, crew? I mean, at this point, we're kind of rapidly approaching break-even numbers.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's grab let's grab one for +2. If he wants 10%.
That's 1,500 minimum. So 3,000 is what we're going to pay him minimum.
Well, it's whatever price he can manage to find. So I mean, if he only
As I
found
said, there's a minimum
40%,
there.
yeah.
So
Well, you also got to think that each +1 on the chart, because it goes like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, etc. percent. So each +1 on the chart is 10% extra of the cost.
Yeah.
And he's charging you 5%. So effectively, your broker is going to be charging you half of the extra that they can get you.
Exactly. Which so it's still worth it. At least it's worth it for us at this stage. We have to have a good return here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you got to look for a broker.
Definitely.
Okay. So roll 1d6 to see if you can find an appropriate broker.
To be fair, we could not find one.
I got a 5.
5, yeah. So you can find a +4 broker if you want. Everyone knows their different levels of how good they are.
I mean, he'll cost more, but he'll give us the highest percentage of making the most profit. So
that's right. So you guys have already got +2, and your broker gives you +4, so that's +6 to your roll. So now make the roll.
Yeah, that's the best we can hope for.
I got an 8.
8, so that's 12. So that's 170% the price.
There we go.
Not bad. We're paying 10%, so that's 160%.
So you get offered 255,000.
Okay.
And you'll be paying 20% to him.
Okay.
So you owe him 51,000, whether you sell or not.
Yeah, we're gonna sell.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get 255 minus 51, so you get 204,000.
Cool.
For your computer parts.
So it sounds like I gave you 1,000. We made 70%, an extra 70%.
Yeah.
So I get 1,700. Does that sound good, boss?
Sounds good.
All right.
if I contributed whatever percentage, I'm fine with. I don't know if I did or not, so I'm good either way.
That was just last week that they were discussing it. Ricky seems quite keen on making himself a little profit, little side profit. Always character.
If I can take it, right? I almost doubled my character. Almost doubled the amount of money they had. So if I can do it again, and I can do it again, and I can do it again, it's my character was a merchantman. You know, this is what I did. I'm not entirely sure how I ended up broke to begin with, but I'm trying to fix that.
Maybe a bad deal.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, to be fair, merchants do tend to go from, lots of money to then, one bad sale later, and that's it.
Yep. Yep. And that might have been why you were leaving the service. It's just same as a small business or something. You're doing well, and then you do badly, and you stick around in the hopes that things will pick up, and you run through your savings, and then you go no, and you close it, and you sell your ship, and that pays off your loan for the ship. And
I'm glad you put it that way, because I always thought it was stepping on my senior officer's balls in his sleep that was what got me thrown out of the army.
Oh, it could have been that too. It could be whatever you like.
Well, be that as it may, do we at least turn a decent profit?
Yeah, you turn a profit because you paid 165. So
yeah, you got a good profit out of it.
Yeah, 165 less. What was it? 2 or 190 something, wasn't it?
No, the 165 is after the broker.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Wave says, we should have sold the AI. We'd be filthy rich. Yeah, we'd also be filthy dead.
Just filthy.
Yeah. Reduced to ash. All right, so let's see to getting the ship looked at again.
Yeah, really. Can we just, like, seriously, boss, can we just, like, throw this ship out and get a new one?
Yeah, I've got a spare one in my cabin. We'll just use it from now on. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, we can't just buy a new ship. Okay. I mean, unless you know somebody who has a museum of the glories of space flight and they want to buy this thing as a decommissioned antique and pay for an artifact.
Oh, come on. We could at least recycle it.
Anyway,
trade it in.
We get $5 for it, literally.
I was going to say we would have to pay a shipyard to take this ship at this point. Ain't going to be no trade.
Well, it's just hull problems. I mean, and they're the cheapest things to fix because it's just.
All right.
No, we've got to flush the entire life support system, don't we?
That's next.
Well, you already did that by means of a nuclear reactor, superheating it to 1200 degrees, pressurized steam. So.
Yep. Okay. Going to port facilities. We got a real fixer-upper opportunity for you here. So, we need reaction mass. We've got some dissimilar metal issues with a hull. What are we talking about? What do we
I'll roll 2d6.
10.
10. Okay. It will cost you 10,000 to do proper repairs on the hull.
I'll pay that.
Moment, and they say, like, at the moment you'll be fine if you're just zipping around in vacuum. But if you have to pull a lot of G's or go through an atmosphere, then it may burst.
We like to go onto planets where we don't need vac suits. So let's just do the full hull repair, 10,000, and I'll swipe my card. I'll cover that.
Okay. All right, and that'll only take them a couple of days.
Oh, we got it from profits, so we're good.
Yep.
Well, I guess while we're sitting here, is there anything that they have to sell that we would like to
You are our resident merchant marine, so please see what they've got in bulk that we could maybe ship dirt side or what have you.
You want me to make a 2d6 roll or something here, DM?
Yeah, just a sec. Let's see what.
Take your time.
Or they even just have basic freight they just need shipped that we don't have to buy, just carry.
Well, even that.
And we can look at passengers too again.
Yep.
Yeah, technically the Baroness was.
Yet.
Technically the Baroness was paying for passage to Kafka.
Yep.
The ship. However, she says, "I'll just get a shuttle." She said, "I'm getting off this. I'm getting off this ship. I'll get a shuttle."
Forget your complimentary flip flops. Papa, would you?
I'm sure he'll toss the matter as she leaves.
I make sure that everyone gets. What about the other guys?
What about them? The other? They are her 2 security guards, so they go with it.
Oh, okay. I thought we had like 2 separate. Okay, all right, fine, excellent, Wonder Bar.
Yeah, you had 4 spaces free, and she came with the 2 security guards and paid for the extra space to not be occupied by anyone else. So, let's see, what are we looking at? We're looking at a cultural vacuum world.
I feel like I have a screwdriver going through my left eye.
Ow.
In character or out of character?
No, out of character.
Oh, so sorry.
That's it. That's a typical day in my life.
Ouch.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Wave says still better than space herpes. Or
Pinch the skin between your index finger and thumb. It's a pressure point. It may help.
Okay, I'll let you know if it helps. I'm pinching. You know, I shoved a knife through there once.
Your eye?
No, that pressure point between my index
Oh.
finger and thumb.
I ran a drill into mine.
Well, try the opposite one then. Maybe you killed the nerves in that one.
Yeah, I may have killed the nerves in that one. Yeah, the stitches there sucked. I can't imagine the drill bit was actually my uncle did that too. Where they would put a drill through his hand right there. Yeah.
Yeah. It just broke the outer skin, but I got to see the interior of that section. It's hollow.
Yeah. My uncle had to have surgery for his.
Ow.
Yeah. Drill press, man.
Disturbing.
No,
Disturbing.
mine was a handheld.
I mean, he was disturbed in the fact that it kind of ruined his weekend plans.
Does have a habit of doing stuff like that, you know?
A little bit.
Okay. Available trade goods. No. Let's have a look.
They have 10,000 gallons of lard they want to sell.
Probably not lard on a vacuum world. You'd question where they'd got it from.
It's space lard.
I don't know if they were Fremen, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right, they have got some radioactives.
Ew.
Yes. And the radioactives are roll 2d6.
All right, guys, who wants cancer? 9.
9. The radioactives are 1 million a ton. 1.1 million a ton. Oh, correction. No, there'll be -8, so 800,000 a ton.
Yeah, we're not buying any anyway.
Yeah, I don't think you can sell those, can you?
Oh yeah.
You can. Yeah,
Need them to make reactors and all other sorts of things. They're just a pain in the butt to handle, and as you can see, they are very expensive. And it makes
Yeah, and if we get a leak, it's not good.
You're thinking, Sapphire, in terms of like, modern world, 21st century safety concerns. But this is a world where people essentially carry nuclear reactors around with them in their ship. And not only do you have a nuclear reactor in your ship, but you have nuclear reactions that drive you around space. So your ship is equivalent to a 20 kiloton nuclear bomb going off behind you as you're going along at 1G. So every second. So the radioactives that you'd be carrying is like the least of anyone's safety concerns. This is why, taking off with your primary drive is a death sentence, is a capital crime, because it's so insanely destructive. So you churn some water into it to ease off slowly before you kick in when you're a safe distance from everyone else, before you kick in with the primary drive.
Good to know.
Think of it as like the impulse drive and the warp drive. And yeah, so the there's so much energy in that involved that the radioactives has been the least of anyone's worried.
So we've got Ludacris and Plaid. Huh?
Basically, yeah. All right. There is also some silver, which is 50,000 a ton.
That's more reasonable.
Yeah.
And some crystals, which are 15,000
Now, do we know? Would we know if is this above market price?
It's below market price. So the market price is because this is what they produce here. So the market price is 70,000 and 20,000 respectively.
Ooh, okay.
So we're getting a deal because it's a local product.
Yeah, it's a local product. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you buy. It's like buying oil in Saudi Arabia. You know, it's.
I think the crystals are a definite must for technology planets. If you think about what would be used in circuit boards, etc.
Yeah. So industrial worlds pay extra for crystals, as do rich worlds.
Same with the silver.
Yeah.
It's a shame they don't have any gold. That's really useful in computer.
Interestingly, industrial worlds pay a lot extra for silver. Rich worlds a little bit less, and poor worlds more.
Well, so it sounds like the silver is the safest bet because we'll be able to turn it around no matter where we are. But the crystal, we'd be able to walk away with more of it, which really doesn't matter. So, what, boss? You're the one in charge here. Silver, crystal, both good options. Silver's a bit more flexible, but crystal might have a higher payoff.
Can we do both?
Yeah.
What are our finances?
You know, I'm thinking let's go with the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
The audience is suggesting that we look for a distillery and fill one of our reaction tanks and sell that.
You just put some yeast and sugar. Put some yeast and sugar in one of your reaction tanks, and then by the time you've arrived,
yeah, really, we literally just vent off the beer, and it's just
I won't say that I disagree with the sentiments.
I like that idea. There's a lovely folk song about running an entire spaceship off beer.
And I like the idea, since it's reaction mass, you just be like chucking booze behind you as you fly along.
There was a
we talk about the drive signature of a ship, you know, drive signature ale.
Yep.
There was a Russian bomber. I think it was it was a jet. It was a jet bomber, but its entire radar system was cooled with essentially incredibly purified vodka. And the downtimes on that thing were notorious because, yes, the crew could and would and did drink the computer and radar system coolant constantly.
Quick question.
Yep.
How much longer do we expect to go? Tammy, I think, is available to jump in if you want her.
About another 20 minutes normally.
Okay.
Question, team. If this is going to be our time, just as a heads up, the time I did join in about a little over an hour ago will be the time I'll be able to join normally because of I have a client right before this.
Okay,
that's cool.
Just letting you know.
That's cool.
Don't wait for me.
Open game table.
Yeah.
Open game table.
All right, boss. So it sounds like we're buying crystal. I got 1,700 to put towards that crystal now. So you know the drill. I'll keep throwing my money in, and let's do it to it. How much do we want to put into this Crystal Enterprise?
After the ship is repaired, I mean, if you think the crystals are a good investment, I say let's just let's sink 50 in and see how we do.
So they're 15 a pop. So why don't we do 45, and that way it's 3 tons.
That sounds perfectly fine.
Cool. And
I mean, I can contribute too, so just let me know.
Well, why don't we do and how much was it? It was what, 30 for the silver, you said?
For the silver.
It's been a long day. Don't quote me.
It's 50.
50 for the silver.
50.
How much money you got? How much do you want?
How much are you looking at?
Well, do you want to get a ton of silver? If you got 50,000 credits lying around, we can get you a ton of silver.
I've got 50 lying around.
I mean, that you could literally sell anywhere. Pretty much.
I mean, I can contribute with the silver.
Tell you what, you buy a ton, I'll buy a ton. How's that?
All right.
Sure.
So 2 tons of silver, 3 tons of crystal.
Okay. Well, you guys record that.
I got it.
Yep.
And that's all right. And we spent that's 100K and 45K respectively. And that way we can I'll keep track and see how much of a profit we make.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very, very, very strict with Bubba and just tell him directly, this is cargo. If I see you sniffing around here with a hot glue gun and a pattern book, I will put you in the brig for a standard day. I mean it. This is money.
Question, boss. If we can't sell this to a technology shop, we need to go visit a regular modern day Earth world technology level. Like go visit Earth, and then we can sell it to all of the Reiki New Age pagan shops and make a killing there too.
Look, money is money. I don't care if we sell this to an entire planet of Bubba clones just churning out bedazzled flip flops and jorts. I just want the profit off of this. I mean, we have the silver. We have a machine shop for that matter. We could extrude the silver into wire and make cheap jewelry if we can't sell it, and find some planet that is notorious for having, a half continent sized flea market, open up a booth.
Hey, as long as we get that return on investment, I don't care.
Exactly.
Yep.
We'll subsist on corn dogs and funnel cake and lemonade and iced tea for 2 months. However long it takes us to shift it, however we do it, let's do it.
Exactly. It was a good deal. So and if it has to sit in our cargo bay for a jump or two, that's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Were there any passengers or anybody looking off this rock?
Okay. Well, that depends where you're going to go. So,
we got to decide where we're going to go.
Oh, are we still not going topside, or are we going? Or are we just going to go somewhere else?
Well, there's a regular shuttle, so nobody's going to pay you to go down and land on the planet.
Yeah, no, we need to move on because we're trying to put space between us and the world we did not enjoy.
We either need to go back to Lagun or off to Sturgeon. Those are our 2 options.
Hey, we could go to the camp, but
The camp.
So what's up with Sturgeon?
No, because you've
besides
only got
fish.
You can only do jump 1.
Oh, right.
It's
Okay.
actually 2 jumps.
Yeah. I'm just saying Sturgeon is the next closest. Like I say, there's only 2 worlds within a jump 1, Sturgeon being one of them.
Can we visit Pike instead?
Do we have any data on Sturgeon?
Thank you.
Yes, we do, and I posted in the chat.
How about tilapia? Can I get tilapia?
I prefer salmon myself.
That's fair.
I'm going perch.
Wall-eyed pike.
The scale of these
Muscaline.
chart.
That's okay. The gar will sink its teeth into it. It'll be fine.
So for those of us who don't speak traveler
Are you
hexadecimal,
singing? Are you singing
Math.
bass?
Stop floundering.
So that's the correct stats there. It should be G, not GM. Anyway, that's the stats. That's right. Gary will translate for you.
Gary.
Okay, Starport is a type Delta, which means it's not very good. Size 3. It's 3,000 kilometers in diameter.
Miles, not diameters.
Or miles? Okay. I'm sorry, that was... Atmosphere is a 3, which I believe is a thin.
It's the same as Kafka, so a thin and tainted one.
Yeah.
You can walk around, but you need to wear a filter
A
mask. With.
It's got a lot of water. It's 80% water.
Okay.
It's got tremendous numbers of people. I believe that's in the billions.
Mm.
That are hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. Okay.
The
Government level is an 8. Not sure the exact one that is, but it's not a good one. Law level is a A. It's almost illegal to breathe. Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So back to Le Guin then?
And tech level is a B.
Okay, what does that mean?
So,
it's actually not a B, it's 9. It's 9.
was it? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I
go.
So what
I'm
was
looking
our
at,
alternative?
notes I had.
Wait, so tech level 9 was what?
Whoops.
Tech level 9 is like
it's Earth.
Day, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much modern day Earth with a few twists. Like they actually have lasers, I think.
Oh, well, hold up a sec, because wouldn't that then count as a developing world that we could offload that crystal onto?
Oh, government aid is a civil service bureaucracy.
That's assuming we don't get arrested for, parking in a yellow zone or something like that. I am highly
might be more challenge than it's worth.
Yeah, essentially. I'm disinclined to go to Sturgeon unless something, although, lots of water on Sturgeon, not a lot of water on Kafka. Merchant Marine, what are the markets like for imported water here?
That is a good question. DM?
So what, we fill up on water and bring it back here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's rarely a market for water between systems because every system has got some comets, some icy bodies, and so on. And we'll just get it from there.
That tracks. Okay.
So there's definitely a trade in water, but it's within a system.
Okay. Now,
and they probably find alternatives so that they don't need water, like dry, shampoos, whatever. So
there's an idea. How's the cometary harvesting paying in this system?
Well, the local company that runs this place, that runs Felice, they do the cometary harvesting, and they so you ask around in bars and stuff, and basically they just whack tugboats onto it, and just do a gentle thrust. And sometimes they even
before we leave,
automate it to a degree. Because it doesn't matter if it
before
takes
we leave, I'm going
20 years to arrive in orbit.
Okay. All right. Just curious.
Yep.
Before we
you
leave, I want to make sure that everything is spick span on our ship. That we have clean distilled water and we don't have any more problems with our life support or anything else like that. And that all of the metal has been replaced that was corroded or whatever happened there.
White glove treatment for every surface.
So with your new standards of cleanliness and so on, you have to take some of the repair guys to task for their work because their work is good enough. It's good enough for the normal circumstances, but now with extra paranoia,
I'm doing a Karen as a mechanic.
There's a gap in the weld there. You cannot have that. And he's like, well, no, the air's not going to escape from there. It's like, no, you cannot have that. So
I am the Karen of mechanics right now. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like we just got done fighting space herpes. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
I am watching them power spray with disinfectant every surface. We do not want a reinfection of insects or bacteria or anything else.
We do not.
Well, you know, when I was studying disease history, this is exactly how I felt after I learned about the Ebola outbreak in the U.S.
All right, so you guys are going to go to Sturgeon, are you?
I was told I was have to X-ray every weld to make sure.
Yeah, so you could take some extra time to do that.
So yeah, okay, do we want to, I know we don't want to head to Sturgeon, but let's be real, right?
What's the alternative? What's the other world? Can we offload some of our stuff?
Back to Le Guin. That's our only other option.
Oh,
yeah,
we can go back. That gives us additional options. So, I mean,
and we can yell at the people who dumped bug-infested water into our reaction tanks.
By yell at them, does this mean I get to shoot them?
We'll see where the yelling goes. I'm not going to say no, but I'm not saying no.
That's fair.
That's what I like.
I got commendations for my special negotiations last time, so let's do this.
Good. All right, we're gonna do our cargo swap once the ship is fine and once the systems are up to par as far as our lovely engineering crew is concerned. We're going to boost and head back to Le Guin with hate in our eyes and pipe wrenches in our hands if we have to.
Well, we've got contacts there, and we know we picked up passengers, so we do have some some connection. So that'll be to our benefit at least.
Mm-hmm.
Weren't we fleeing the police there or something?
No, that was labor.
Ah, thank you.
You can't keep track of which systems you're wanted in.
I'm just going to get a dry erase board.
Yeah.
And put, systems it's safe to go to, systems it's slightly less safe to go to. We are wanted here. That's just going to be up in the captain's cubicle. You just stick your head to, Captain, is it okay for us to land at Asimov? Let me check. Yeah, we're good.
Now, did you keep any samples of these bugs?
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard yes and no simultaneously.
No, I said yes.
Yes,
No,
but in
yes.
sealed tubes.
Sealed jars.
We're keeping everything, but we're keeping it isolated.
Yeah.
Sample of water, sample of bugs.
And
water from each separate tank to compare with labels.
Okay. So what are you doing with your stored sample of hull-eating bugs?
Packing it in a
We're
very
keeping it,
well padded, secure box.
Yeah, it's good. It's
and the
going
box
into.
is locked.
Are you
Mhm.
showing it to anybody, or what? What are you keeping it for? What's your intention?
We're taking it back to Le Guin.
Yeah, we're taking it back to Le Guin and saying, "Hey, guess what we found in our reaction mass tanks?"
Guess who's paying for our repairs, you dick?
Yeah,
That lifetime warranty clause is going to come into effect really quick.
And it's either going to be your lifetime or this warranty. Your choice.
yep.
Well, remember it is a naval base, so you know.
That's fine. We can still feed naval officers their teeth.
We have all the documentation of the repairs that we had to do at the last port because of this too, and we took video evidence.
I'll go and radio. So now you're going to be heading off to Le Guin.
Le Guin, yes.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to bail here.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, that's all right.
All right.
So I will
Well,
see you
for
guys
reference-
next week.
You said Tammy had an appointment. Best
In-game-
wishes.
Yeah, she's having a rough week right now. Her daughter decided to elope without telling her.
Oh
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah, and she does not like the husband.
Well,
Oh.
normally if you're going to elope, you wouldn't like the husband.
My goodness.
Well, thing is, it's baby daddy, but it's long story there.
Oof.
So
Tell her to PM me if needed. I'm here for her.
okay, yeah. Well,
I'm on Discord, so she can reach me.
Okay, she got some other bad news about her today too. So she and I are going to have a little. I'm going to be a shoulder for her here real quick.
oh my gosh.
Tell her if
So-
she needs somebody to talk to with a bottle of wine, I'm there.
Okay.
Wine
sweet.
and chocolate. It's good.
We
And we
have
can do mani pedis too. You never know.
we have a great community, great support community around here for our players.
Right.
What a great community in general. I want to thank Volcano God for the super. Thank you very much, Volcano, for the $9.99 super.
I'm out
And
here.
all right, have a good one, sir.
Take it
Bye
easy.
now. See you guys next week.
Deus Vult.
See ya.
Sounds good.
All righty then. I do
All
want to
right,
take.
So, oh, sorry.
What's up?
No.
Game bookkeeping. So, okay, you're heading off to Le Guin, and for reference, you started on day 100, and it's now day 243 in game. So it's been almost 20 weeks. And you've been on what, 3 different worlds in that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, you've been on Gibsa, Lieben, Le Guin, and Kafka. So 4 different worlds, or around 4. You've been on 2 of them and around another 2, because you didn't land on Le Guin and you haven't landed on Kafka either. So yep, so 143 days and 4 worlds, or 4 systems, and what else? Killed a couple of dozen people. No, probably not. Only about a dozen, actually. Not that many.
But they would.
Yeah. Well, maybe we scorched a few taking off a couple times.
That's possible. That's possible.
That's a Class A felony.
We don't say the
Well,
S.
no.
We don't know for
because
sure though.
you didn't use your primary drive. It's the primary drive. It's that nuclear reaction happening at the back of your ship.
All right.
That's the thing. Just regular.
So they just kind of got
killing people is
pushed
a
out of the
local
way.
offense. Yeah, it's just a regular offense of homicide, but that's a local affair. The international community doesn't care about homicide. It's like if when Artemis took off today or yesterday, if there had been some guy that they left underneath the rocket, that's a matter of Florida law to deal with. That's the International Criminal Court at The Hague doesn't really care about that. That's for somebody else to deal with.
So it's not the fact of the death; it's the method of it that's the issue.
Well, yeah, because it's a nuclear reaction and because it's so insanely destructive, basically. It's like if you set off an A-bomb in somewhere obscure and only killed 2 people with it, I don't think they would charge you with just 2 homicides. They'd find some other things to charge you with.
Oh yes. Oh, they most certainly would.
Compared to if you just shot 2 people, it's so it's a similar kind of thing. They just get nervous around that weapons of mass destruction thing.
By the way, there is an area in the state of Colorado that is completely lawless from a legally technical point of view. It's the place. It is alternately called the place where you could murder someone and get away from it. The place with no law, etc., like that. Because what it is it is a piece of federal land that spans 2 states, but also into a county in Wyoming. And because it's part of federal parkland, but it is in a judicial jurisdiction, essentially nobody lives there, which means you could not convene a court and you could not call jurors. So if you committed felony offenses there, quote unquote, technically you could do it and get away with it. Now you'd have to have F. Lee Bailey meets Perry Mason meets Nick Arcata to get you off of that charge, but by the book, you could
Wyoming, that explains a lot of the events of Longmire. But
yeah, but it's just this strange little acreage. Nobody has ever put it to the test, obviously, but if you wanted to detonate your nuclear device, I guess technically you could start there.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like when I had laughing gas.
The other bookkeeping one is, so we've got 4 more Thursday games before the end of the year. So we'll get up to episode 2.08, and then that'll be it for the end for the year.
All right, then. Halfway through, that sounds wonderful.
So I've got 4 more episodes to make a TPK happen.
You haven't killed us yet, Kyle. Not for any lack of trying.
So we're going to go into next year then?
Well, next year we'll see what happens. We'll reassess in the new year what we play or whatever.
Cool.
Indeed.
Because that will have been like 12 or 15 or whatever sessions in all, and that's usually a reasonable time to reassess. Everyone having fun. Someone want to play D&D instead or whatever.
And I just know Kyle is itching to run us some highly narrativist dice pool games. So all of diceless story games. Yeah. Some diceless story games, though. Those are his favorite.
Phoenix Command.
Phoenix Command. Cyborg Commando. Cyborg Commando. But regardless of
Phoenix Command, I like because there are actually rules for if somebody throws a fragmentation grenade at you, you can individually track each of the 2,000 fragments.
That sounds like hell.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, regardless of the games we play, folks, as I said earlier, we have an absolutely fantastic community here on the show. We have a great audience. We have great gamers. I could not do 5 nights a week without the assistance of Kyle, your treasure to have here. So let me just take a hot minute and give a big round of applause to some of those folks who because those of you who've been watching, you can support us PayPal Direct. You can buy us a coffee. It says buy me a coffee, but honestly, it's for the show. Patreon or Subscribe Star. There are some folks who've elected to do that. So let me take a hot minute to thank Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky, thank you very much, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, James F. Keck, and the James F. Keck Observatory in Hawaii, who knew they were fans, William Smith, the Dungeon Minister, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer, Rob, Jeremy Rule, Bo Ganora, Mikey Mank, pulp fantasy author Sky Hernstrom. I point to his book all the time, but guys, you really should read some Sky Hernstrom if you like pulp fantasy. Pete Sullivan, the DM's Council, and Baron Von Headbanger. Thank you all very much for contributing as you do. It is greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Best of luck. God be with you, Wave of Mutilation. I hate it when that happens. So yeah, I think we're just about done. Any parting thoughts?
I can't wait for the next squawk.
Hopefully, Kyle, we can get you into the next great underground online gaming con, and you'll run some stuff.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to see when it is and what's happening.
Yes, I predict it. If it happens, it will be April, but we'll see. We'll see. So
it may happen in April.
I'm sorry. Say again.
I said we might say that it may happen in April.
We might say that it may happen in April, possibly. But we'll see. And remember, folks, when I hit 10,000 subs, we'll have a real in-person convention. Really, you can come and sit down and play at tables. It won't be free like the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention is, but I'll have a real honest to God convention right here in Florida. I'll make it happen. That's a safe thing for me to say because I ain't going to get 10,000 subs. So
you say that now.
I say it now because that's, at the rate where this is not a complaint, it's an observation. This is a very specific type of YouTube channel when we say swears, so YouTube won't ever promote us. The motherfucker.
Are you saying it's a genre niche group?
It is niche.
We're a niche of a niche.
We're a niche inside of a niche. We're role-playing games, which is a tiny niche. We're old-school role-playing games, which is a smaller niche inside that tiny niche. But anyway.
And then we're listening to other people play games, which is a smaller niche instead as well. So
at the current rates, because it was last March that we got 1,000 after... I mean, technically I had 400 or 500 subs just from the years when I used to just do like those terrible shot on a terrible webcam 5-minute videos, 5, 10, 15-minute videos back in the day, and putting up copyrighted content, which I've since taken down. What can I say? Those concert videos were nowhere else in the world. But anyway, it took us a while to reach 1,000, and we have... Volcano says, thank you for having Morrissey on your show. Well, we appreciate it.
Remember the square cubed law, Bill? Much like how when you double in size, you triple in mass. The more followers you gain, the more you will continue to gain.
TK, when you reach my age, you know all about tripling in mass.
That's the whole pizza argument.
But anyway,
large is a lot more pizza than a medium.
It has taken us a while to reach. We have bopped between 1374 and 1376 for like 2 weeks. so some people are like, oh, check this out, and then some people are like, no, I don't want to see this anymore. So I don't think we're going to be reaching 10,000 subs on the channel anytime soon, but who knows? Because coming in the new year, I'm going to be bringing some new content to the channel, not live, but pre-recorded tabletop triumphs where I will take. Well, I'll probably have to start with mine initially because I haven't heard a lot of feedback yet, but I'll set up a mechanism for that to come. Great stories of awesome happenings at tabletops, stories that end with and I'm best friends with that guy forever, and the woman playing the magic user and the guy playing the thief ended up getting married, and it was the best D&D game we ever played. Stuff like that, because there's a lot of D&D cringe on YouTube that gets read, and it's a good grift. I don't take anything away from the people who do that kind of thing. I just want to bring some positivity. So that's coming in 2023. I'm going to start dropping a couple of videos a week, pre-recorded, so you don't have to sit here for 3.5 hours and look at my smiling face.
Phil,
yes?
can you make a separate section in the Discord for that specifically, just with a quick blurb about what you want? That way we can, if you're on the Discord, we can submit things that way.
Discord's not a great method for curating longer ideas, more fleshed out ideas like that. But yes, there will be support for it in the Discord. And
just email Bill, and then Morrissey can read it out.
Okay, I'll read it.
Revisiting, did we ever decide on a name for the ship?
No, I think we should have everybody at the table before we settle on that. But Tonka Todd, God bless his heart, has...
you had settled on eminent domain, but you had changed the transponder.
Okay, we did settle on eminent domain. Okay.
Okay. Works for me.
It was in the timeline. So eminent domain works for me.
Okay. Awesome.
So we've already got somebody applauding it. Wave says that sounds like the sort of story you would enjoy. One of the things I found with the D&D cringe stories is I started watching Neckbeardia is an awesome channel. I'm subscribed. They're great folks. I would love to actually have them on the show or game with them or something like that. I should reach out to them. But because I started watching Neckbeardia and they read some pretty cringy stuff, YouTube was like, oh, well, if you like that, check out this guy. And it's the Den of the Drake or somebody like that. And then it started suggesting other people reading D&D cringe stories and other people and other. They all read the same stuff from the RPG Horror Stories subreddit. I'll start listening to one of them and be like, oh, this is pretty entertaining. This is pretty, I've heard this from 2 other people already.
Yep.
And I go back and check. Yep, sure enough, they read it. So I don't want to step on their toes because clearly that's a very crowded niche over there. So my niche will just be me because I will be talking about tabletop triumphs. So we're absolutely
and triumphs, actually, I mean, it's being positive is underrated. So that may be a spot that no one else has really gone with. So
it really is, I mean, and I want actual, to me, it's not a positive story if it's 10 minutes of, and then he was a dick, and then he was a bigger dick, and then he started insulting people at a game, and then he flipped the table over and destroyed a bunch of painted minis. But we threw him out of the game, and then we had the best D&D group until we all graduated college. Just because it ends on a up note doesn't necessarily mean it fits the bill. I want positivity, happiness, and sunshine.
We can only shit talk and blame DMs for so and so long, because it's always the DM's fault, right? It doesn't matter with those stories; it's always the DM's fault.
And you bring up a completely valid point, because so many of those stories. I'm going to clip this section where we're talking here, maybe use it as a promo. But so many of those stories could very simply have not happened if the DM had leaned across to the problem player, that guy, or that girl, because there are plenty of those stories where it's the disc side is a problem. Just lean over and say, no, you fucking don't. I'm going to roll seduction on Tammy's character. Oh, a nat 20.
But the thing is bad dice rolls sometimes makes good RPG.
Well, not when you're trying to use the rules to creep on somebody at the table, is what I'm saying. And in those,
I mean, it can open all kinds of different avenues. So
Yeah,
I mean, there's all kinds of fun stuff that can happen.
That's a matter of knowing the game table.
Yeah,
it's a matter of knowing the game table, and it's quite all right with some people, and it's just not going to be all right with others. So you err on the side of being discreet, and then over time you just sort of feel things out. Like it's like I do in the gym with new gym members. I'll just casually drop in an F-bomb there, but just to see their reaction. And if they kind of step back, then okay, I know that. Okay, I've got to just let the other gym members know that this one's a little bit more sensitive type. Maybe that gym member that we have who likes to talk about what she saw on efucked.com, maybe she should tone down those stories that day.
The OnlyFans.
And to be fair, I do have to apologize. I am one of those swearing people that and then not that way in my work time, but in my off time, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm keeping us from being monetized. That's my fault.
Well, I mean, there's the swearing. I mean, that's just an example, but there's going to be other things. There's going to be people in your little group or whatever who just cannot bear talk of politics, say, or talk of religion, or there'll be places that they just don't want to go in a role-play game. Some people, we know that Ricky doesn't like talk of physics. It profoundly offends him.
No, that's not it at all. I just don't have a head for it. I took applied math in high school. I got to figure out all the fun physics stuff, like how the pendulum and the pit and the pendulum works, or square footage and volume and that kind of thing. But to me, it was like the space physics and stuff. I'm just in awe of it. I'm like, how the hell do you know this, right? Because to me, that's like that. For me, that's like I can walk you through a 15th century German fencing treatise and go play by play through Joachim Meyer, right, or Tauhofer. But I can't do it with like space physics. It's just I'm in awe of that.
Well, the crux of it is, regardless of what what people do or don't, but to go back to what TK was saying, it's those stories drive me up the wall, because again, so many of them are they're so easily, when I'm like, why did the DM allow this? Why did the DM allow this? Why did the DM allow this? What, or if it was, why is, if it's one person saying, this is the worst group I ever gamed with, and it almost killed playing D&D for me. And then they say, so I decided to stick it out for a few more sessions. Like, at what point? Oh, I guess, Kyle had to dip. But at what point? At what point do you throw in the towel? And I mean, for many of those cases, honestly, if you just said no D&D is better than bad D&D, where D&D is a placeholder for the role playing game. I mean, when you're sitting down to play and the game master opens their lovingly painted Kingdom Death miniatures and hands one to your girlfriend and says, this represents your character. Your story shouldn't say, so 7 sessions later, we're starting to get really creeped out. Your story should be, And we looked at the miniature, we looked at each other, and we packed up our stuff and walked out.
Well, how many of that is possibly sensationalized, embellished, or even like online stuff, clickbait?
Oh, I definitely think there's a lot of it, because I think there's a fair amount of the RPG horror stories. And this, even one of the guys I was watching read an RPG horror story, and he started it off with, I'm going to read this to you. This thing has this many upvotes on Reddit, and it's got Reddit Gold, and it's got Reddit Silver, and it's been voted most helpful, and yada yada. It is so obviously a lie. And he read through the thing, and when he got to the end, he went on a rant about how this was, and if you listen to the story, you're like, yeah, that it's just all, and then everybody clapped, and that dungeon master's name was Albert Einstein moment at the end of it. So I think there's probably a fair amount of those, but some of them do ring true. But again, one finds oneself saying, why didn't you just walk away? The game couldn't have been, that
same. Same. Anyway, I gotta bounce. So,
all right. So we're going to wrap up. TJ, you're going to have to ask your question next time of Kyle. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for our audience. Thank you for 2 super chats, Volcano God. Thank you, Sapphire, for bopping in and gaming with us as usual. I will be back tomorrow night with some Deities and Demigods read. Friday night, more Deities and Demigods. And then we're going to play some classic Gamma World on Friday night. Peace, everybody. I love you all. I mean it. Have a wonderful evening.